And perhaps finally on the phone lines, Rabiu Alhassan is a managing editor of Ghana Facts. Rabiu, thank you very much for speaking to us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
This conundrum about the betting tax. I took it, I didn't take it. You took it, we didn't take it. What do you know?
Wow. That's an interesting place to start from. What do we know? I would say specifically what the minister said in Parliament when presenting the 2025 budget. I quote, he said, "We will abolish the 10% withholding tax on winnings from lottery, otherwise known as the betting tax." Now, before the presentation of the budget, in the heat of the elections, we heard of all the promises by the leading political parties, the NDC and the MPP, assuring Ghanaians that they were going to abolish the betting tax. We've heard from economists calling on even the government to put that on hold because it looks like it's become something a lot of the youth are hooked on. Others have insisted that because the NDC had promised that they were going to withdraw it, indeed they had to fulfill this promise. And so when the minister said it in Parliament, I think everybody was thinking about the promises that had been made.
Right.
Only for the former finance minister to come out to say what he said.
Right.
Now, when you look at data from the Ghana Revenue Authority, as of October 2023, we were told that the domestic tax revenue division of the GRA had generated some 15 million Ghana cedis from the bet tax within the first month of the tax implementation. Also, the MPP administration at the time in 2024 had said the government raked in 1.2 billion Ghana cedis in revenue from the betting tax. So it would be difficult for anybody who had heard this in the past to kind of make sense of what the former finance minister was saying. Again, yesterday, we took it upon ourselves to send an email to one of the betting companies, hoping to get some clarity on the 10% tax on winnings. And specifically, we sent the email to sportybet.com, trying to get clarity on the issue. And this is their response. And here is a quote. "The finance minister announced the 10% withholding tax removal in the 2025 budget. You will no longer be taxed for withdrawals once the budget is passed." End quote. So clearly from the email correspondence between ourselves, Ghana Facts, as an independent fact-checking organization in country, and with an operating betting company in the country called Sportybet Ghana, you will clearly from this know that indeed they were implementing the 10% withholding tax on winnings. And according to them, when the budget is approved, they will be removing it in lieu of what the finance minister has said on the floor of Parliament. So that's what we can report on this issue.
Let me ask you, were there any other statements of facts that the finance minister thought he had made that you think or you know were inaccurate? For example, about how well the economy grew, how much we owe, and what we don't owe. What do you have to say?
Sure. We verified, we did a live fact-checking of the budget presentation. And as and when the finance minister was speaking, we were as well sharing whatever findings we were getting on some of the key macroeconomic indicators that the figures he was mentioning on the floor of Parliament. Now, let me list some of the fact checks in themes that we worked on before I take it one by one and give the verdict that we arrived at as part of our investigation. We looked at claims relating to inflation, where he said inflation worsened between 2023 and 2024. We looked at overall GDP, the claim he made about overall GDP, that it grew by 5.7% in 2024 compared to 3.1% in 2023. We looked at issues relating to our gross international reserves increasing to $8.98. We looked at some issues relating to the cedi depreciation and what have you. Now, let me take it one by one. In relation to inflation, he said inflation worsened in the year 2024 from 23.2% in the year to 23.8% in 2024. When we looked at the Consumer Price Index of the Ghana Statistical Service, we found the claim to be true. There was another claim he made about overall GDP growing by 5.7% in 2024 compared to 3.1% in 2023.
That's right.
Again, we looked at data from the Ghana Statistical Service. Their publication stated that overall gross domestic product grew, similar to the figures put out by the finance minister. One that was tricky, that we our verdict was a mix of both true and false claims being put out by the finance minister, was where he said that President Mahama has reduced the number of government ministries from 30 to 23. Now, when we debunked this claim or produced the fact check of this claim in the past, because when you look at the numbers, former President Nana Akufo-Addo, indeed, when he started his government, had more than 30 ministers. But subsequently, in his second term, he issued a statement where he reduced the number of ministries to 28 and not 30 ministries.
Right.
So with that, I think it is true that President Mahama has 30 ministries, but for 23 ministries, but for the former president, it was not 30, but it was 28.
Right.
It's close, but I think the politicians are people we should be holding in high regard when they make public commentary, and must not in any way try to mislead the public when it comes to numbers. So I think these and more are some of the claims we verified and would encourage the public to go and see some of the verified live fact-checking we've done on GhanaFacts.com.
Rabiu Alhassan, thank you for enjoying breakfast with us this morning. We're grateful.
Sure. Thank you very much, sir.
Great. That's Rabiu Alhassan right there.